going to compliment you the entire time. He might be a little fresh.
The keystone in the arch of Star Wars.
It's a show that I dearly love and admire, so thanks for having me.
Sorry, I'm getting like emotion.
And you got this hulking, scary dude with a big nose and a perfect hair.
I understand. This is a safe space. This is a safe space between you and I and all of your viewers.
Cassie and Jim on the beach, and people are like, no. I can literally hear people out there, no.
Rogue One was awesome. I love the Han Solo movie, and then of course I love the Mandalorian.
And like getting to talk to fans face to face and learn their names and just, get to hear their stories.
And in the world of Star Wars, there's a bunch of people who look different, and are different species. There's lizard men, there's psychic baby swamp monsters.
I joke that the best thing about writing Princess Leia is everybody knows who she is, and the worst thing about writing Princess Leia is everyone knows who she is.
And also you get Ewoks, and I am definitely a lover of Ewoks.
You're listening to Around the Galaxy.
Yes, it's a good thing. It's a great thing.
Well, welcome to Around the Galaxy, episode number 131. I'm Pete Fletzer, your host. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're watching this live, that means you're a patron. So thank you so much for being a part of our family and for being a part of the crew and hanging out with us. And, every week we have this great opportunity to talk to somebody about their Star Wars journey, whether they're an author or a celebrity or a super fan or a musician. It's been a little bit of everything over the last couple months, actually, for the first 130 episodes. And tonight I am so excited to bring you a very special opportunity to speak to somebody who I didn't realize I had been watching since the movie Congo. I am excited to bring you a conversation with Misty Rosas, who as Kuil and Frog Lady, but she is a multi-talented artist. I'm just going to stop talking about her and just bring her in so we can have a great conversation. Misty, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you? Hello to all the patrons out there. Thank you so much for joining us.
So thank you so much for hanging out. Tell me, I just want to get started by just mentioning a lot of people don't know, first of all, that you have been doing this for a while and that you're also a singer and a dancer. And you when I was doing the research to prepare, I was so excited to see that you have an amazing singing voice and that you're an amazing performer. How long have you been a singer and a dancer? And is that where it started?
Yeah, I mean, I found out that my dad's side of the family actually, I come from musicians, but I never really met them, just due to the splits of families sometimes. So once I found that out, it really did make sense to me. I have been drawn to music my whole life, and my parents as well. I mean, we grew up on artists like Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin. Johnny Mathis is their favorite singer, which is, Misty. That's where I get my name from.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, it's I've been singing since I was in the choir in kindergarten. So, but I didn't really take it on really not until about 2009. And at that point, it was something that I trained hard for, and I studied. I went to Nashville to take courses in songwriting as well. So it's always been there with me, but I really dove in 2009, and that's just been a really special journey. And really, honestly, that journey is what helped me to connect so well in my audition for Kuil, which is, I personally feel, is why, I was able to book that role.
So, all right. So you have to tell me, how's that connection between music and Kuil?
It's about the journey. I've learned so much about taking it as an artist just simply because you love it, not for some sort of end goal, but for the sake of creating something. And it's been, I learned so much. I decided to invest everything that I've ever worked for and made into that project and creating the songs and recording and creating music videos and working and, being on stage, opening for Air Supply and stuff.
Yeah.
It all takes money because I've never believed in asking someone to bring their talent onto the stage with me without paying them. So everybody gets paid. And so it's kind of, it's been expensive, but what I learned was like, when I absolutely had nothing, which was 2018, just before I auditioned for The Mandalorian, learning to be present in the moment. It felt like I'd just been through war. And just beaten down, having to work 3 jobs that also allowed me to be able to, say, hey, can someone cover for me just in case I get an audition? So it was humbling. I know how hard sometimes you work and there's not necessarily a payoff for a very, very long time. I've been in this now for 11 years and, just kind of, it builds your character. And it reminds you what is really important, which is literally just the love and the joy of doing it and creating. So, yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's wow. It's inspirational to hear you talk that way. And it's one of those things. I guess I have to ask, were you a Star Wars fan before you became a part of The Mandalorian?
Yeah, actually, just a few weeks ago, my mom asked me, and I'm like, not sure where all these pictures came from, and they were out of her, special albums that she's made since the time we were babies, all the way up until now. And she asked if I would put all the pictures away, and I just happened to be, scrolling through all the albums, and I found a picture of me when I was 3. And I had a little Star Wars shirt on. So, I know it's because my dad and my older brother and sister, they were very much into it. And so anywhere they went, I wanted to go. So, but yeah, The Empire Strikes Back was the first one that I really understood, which was intense, I will say. As a 6-year-old, I was quite overwhelmed by that.
Sure. Yeah.
But then Return of the Jedi came and, obviously you meet Yoda in Empire Strikes Back. And I've always been fascinated with puppets because, I knew that he wasn't real, but he was real.
Right.
I was like, how did they do that? So to now come into that type of performance, it's really, really special. And yeah, I'm grateful just every day to be a part of it. Some things just seem like they're meant for you. So.
Yeah. That's amazing. So how did you get, as I mentioned before, you were Amy, the gorilla in Congo. You were Sid, the science kid, as I was saying before we got on. Like, I've been watching you for years. I had no idea. My kids my daughter was a huge Sid fan. And some Muppet Babies and some stunt work and things like that. How did you first get into stunt and performance art like that?
Gymnastics. That very much was the centerpiece of my entire life. I took my first gymnastics class when I was 2.5, and I was hooked from day one. I'm apparently like I guess I don't remember doing this, but I would jump on my parents' bed and the couches, and I was ruining their furniture just with all my energy. And so they're like, we need to put her into something where she can, just go crazy. So they took me to gymnastics class, and because of my height, I'm really tiny. I'm Simone Biles' height. We're both 4'9". And it was like from the time I was 2.5 until I was 16. That was my entire life. I was an elite gymnast and, on the national team and all that. So it definitely, gymnastics and the strength that that I built in my body, discipline, movement, air awareness, knowing how to fall, that's helped me with stunts. And I got a call from my gymnastics coach at the time at, I think it was about, 20. And they were looking for, they narrowed it down for Amy, the gorilla in Congo, and the other gorillas as well, the gray gorillas. The best body type, the best people for that type of work would be gymnasts, because we have tremendous upper body strength and coordination and cardiovascular strength. So I was at college, and then suddenly I just decided to go to this audition, and I booked the role. Originally, I was cast as one of the gray gorillas, which I thought was cool because it was me and all of the guys. But the production realized that, the role of Amy was so intense. So they brought me on to Team Amy with Lorene No. She did all of the very subtle acting work, and I did all of the stunt work and intense stuff at the end with the volcano and all of that. So that's how I got started. And dance class, I remember ballet bar was part of our training. So again, dancing was part of my journey, but I didn't train or study as a dancer until later in life. So yeah.
Wow. So you had this great opportunity to do performance art and acting roles like that. How exactly did the Mandalorian role come along?
Oh, it was crazy because at the time I was just so focused on music and that part of my life. I remember my agent, and she just wanted to wring my neck because I had not been focused on that part of my career with, suit performance and all the motion capture. And I did not have an updated reel. And she's like, I really need you to get that for me. He's like, yeah. I'll get to it. And I remember that casting, and again, we didn't know what it was for. So it gives me heart palpitations to think of what I was blowing off. And I would send her just little clips and stuff. And she's like, you don't have that in a reel. It's like, no. But, they, kept seeing obviously bits and pieces of my work. Legacy Effects, I've been working with them since Congo. We've done a great deal of work together with different characters. So I know that they were vouching for me. And finally they're like, just bring her in, for an acting audition, for a cold read audition with Seraphin casting. So, and again, this is where the music career and journey comes into it, because just before that, I had a major issue with my ears. Even for my audition for Seraphin, I was without my left hearing aid, which is the one that I rely on most. I have a little bit more hearing in that ear, and I went to my ear doctor, and they could not put my hearing aid back in. So I had only I just did not have hearing there, and I was relying on my right ear, which I've been born with that hearing loss, and it's 65% of a loss. And I remember calling her going, I don't know. It's a cold read audition. I need to be able to hear, whoever is reading in the scene with me, and I cannot hear well at all. She's like, well, I think you should go. And, if you can't hear them, just, have them speak up. And I think, I don't know, I just had developed so much courage from the journey of being a music artist and saying yes, saying, yes, life happens in the yes. So just say yes and go and make the most of it. I can't talk. I actually asked my agent to ask casting if they would let me come in early. So I showed up an hour early so that I could get the script and, read it and just get familiar as I could with it. So, because I really wanted to do a good job.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And did you know it was a Star Wars project or a Disney? No. Okay.
Nope. Had nothing, no idea. I think, and they were even careful about, because I remember obviously my audition was one of the scenes. So, they had removed words like the blurg and stuff, just in case any of
Right.
the people coming in were super fans and would have recognized that. So
Do you remember which scene it was that you read as the audition?
yes, it's a scene with me and Mando when I invite him in for the first time into my home, and I'm explaining to him how to get to the encampment. So yeah,
That's awesome. That's
yeah.
great. So I have to ask. We got a question from Nick, and he. It's a great question. What are your thoughts on and were you on set for any of the use of sign language by the Tusken Raiders, having a history of hearing issues? What's your thoughts on that? And as a person, do you know sign language? Do you know pieces of it, or?
I don't. I'm extremely savvy in reading lips, so.
Which is hard with Tusken Raiders as they don't have lips visible.
So I'm a good lip reader. But no, I don't know sign language. But I think that I loved it. I think it's important because what people don't realize is oftentimes when you're born with, I like to call it a handy capability, you just kind of feel less than. And so, and there's like sometimes a lot of shame around that, and I've dealt with that as far as being a singer-songwriter too. I've oftentimes thought, well, maybe I shouldn't be doing this, but my heart's like, you know what, just do it because you love it. And it's something, and again, Star Wars, it's a feeling. You just do it because you love it. And I admired that. And I loved seeing that. And so for any young kids, whether you're 2 years old or 52, 92 years old, it just incorporated into the Star Wars universe, this like love and acceptance of people and how we all communicate. And it doesn't matter if you can hear or not, there's ways to communicate. So I loved it.
That's really awesome. So you got the role of Queel, and you started. Did you meet Nick Nolte at all in the preparation, or did he just sort of recorded? If I understand correctly, he recorded very separately from a lot of it, didn't he?
Yeah, I believe that John and Dave went to, I want to say his house, and they put up, created a little sound booth and just worked with them for a day and recorded all of his lines. And he's amazing. He made my job just, I don't know, he just made it so much easier because he's brilliant. And the way that he would deliver the lines, and they gave us, he would do, 3 takes usually of each line, giving it a different energy or punching certain words. And so that was really helpful for us when we would go in and rehearse and then work with whatever director I was with and then kind of piece together his dialogue and then just go out there and do it. So
did you have any idea that I Have Spoken would become just as almost as popular catchphrase as "May the Force be with you" for a while there?
No, I thought it was cool. It's another moment too where because I chose to take time off from my career, and especially at the time that I chose to do it in 2006, I was doing a lot of stunt work. But I went to yoga teacher training. I've been practicing. I found yoga in 2001, mostly to help keep my body, healthy and, in one piece from all of this work because it's really, really physical. But in 2006, I went to teacher training to become a yoga teacher. And so I've been teaching yoga ever since then, kind of just on the side. It's my way of also giving something back to everybody to help them to heal and also to develop their courage and to literally physically open their hearts again to be able to feel their way through life and really maybe circle back around to what they love to do too. So he does have very much that yogi type of energy, that wisdom that comes from life experience and being kind of like a teacher in a way. So yeah, I feel like that was the line, if it's almost like they chose that scene, and it would be very telling if an actor understood, the depth of this character. So, yeah.
Yeah. As working in the suit, did you get direction as to how to deliver certain lines, or did they just kind of turn it over to you as sort of the performer and just let you feel how Queel would be on set in the
yeah, they let me do my thing. I had written notes and stuff, and I had rehearsals with Dave Filoni and Rick Famuyiwa and Deb Chow. And we would kind of work through scenes and stuff, but, as you know, I've been doing this type of work and creating these characters since the very beginning of my career. So it's more of like helping to, at one time it's, me, it's Nick Nolte's voice, it's my puppeteer that puppeteered Eyebrows, and then, getting the dialogue to, time that well, and my other puppeteer that also helped with a little bit of facial movements. So it's 4 people fusing together as one. So luckily, like I said, I've worked with Legacy a lot in the past and have had puppeteers, and we've learned how to do this work. And then at the Jim Henson Company as well, I've had a lot of years working in tandem in real time with puppeteers and creating these characters that fuse into one. So it's just something that I've had a lot of training and a lot of experience with. So it's just something that I know how to do. So
it's just something I do. I can do this. This is my thing. So do you find do you have a preference between motion capture work or full costume work, or is it's obviously I would guess it's a little bit of a different approach for each one, maybe?
Yeah. They're similar, obviously, with the way that I work as far as getting fully dressed into a costume and stuff too. That also helps you to start to embody the character. And I've been doing motion capture, for a long time. I mean, my beginnings were practical suits and animatronic heads, and then it just kind of technology shifted us to mocap for a while. And, it's nicer sometimes to not have the head and the weight and the air and oxygen deprivation. But with motion capture, with those characters and those shows, we are our own stand-in as well. So literally there's no breaks, you're on the floor the whole time. So it can be very draining mentally and physically, because you're dealing with props and objects and things on set that just aren't there, and they marker things off with tape and a lot of CVC pipes. So yeah, but I love it. I love the challenge of all of it, and I get to dance sometimes in these characters. I'll never forget, we had a 12-hour day shooting, and right after that we had to run out, go get changed, and come right back in to then start choreography rehearsal. But I've never been so tired and happy in all my life.
Yeah.
So, because it's, I had the opportunity to do a Broadway kind of Some Like It Hot type style dance with my little character Lulu, the panda. It's what is happening? How does this, how did I get here and get to be able to do everything that I love? So yeah, it was really fun.
It is, I mean, it really makes a difference if you're doing something you love, right? It's so important. And, I always tell people find a job doing something you like, you love, because you're going to be doing that more than anything else, right? That's where you spend all of your time, and that's really so critical. So you coming from the mocap world, which at time, or not coming from, but having spent time there, where there's so much virtual and so much imagination, talk to me a little bit about your experience with the volume when you first encountered that, and what it's like working on that kind of a set.
On a mocap set, it was hard at first. I didn't. Fortunately, I've been trained really well in that arena by my friend Michelin Sisti, who's also, you know, a suit performer, but he's like comes from New York. You know, he's an actor. He was on Broadway. He's also a singer and a musician. So just this like well-rounded artist. And I was with him when we did the my very first motion capture job was it was like a test pilot for the Henson digital puppetry system that they were developing there. And he kept saying, look at the camera, but there's no camera in front of you. You know, it's all of these cameras on a grid all the way around you.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I don't understand where, you know, and then too, these characters, especially for the type of work I do with the Henson Company, they're built on top of your skeleton. So, you know, they're, you know, twice as big. So you also I had a hard time at first maintaining the space because it's an unnatural distance between me and, you know, the actor that I'm in the scene with. They're further away so that you don't intersect. So, but I had so much fun because it allows you to be really creative, to be spontaneous. You know, and there's baby Gonzo, so he's a goofball. So, you know,
how could you not love playing Gonzo? That's awesome.
It's amazing. You know, I was with my puppeteer, Drew, who obviously puppeteered for Sid with me. So we started to develop our relationship and our working relationship, and we just laugh all day long. So
I'm jealous. That sounds great. And then the Mandalorian set, of course, is all new technology, but it's a very different environment. Did you? I mean, I think a lot of your scenes were they in the volume, the 3D, not 3D, but the video set.
Yeah.
Was that how was that? Did you feel like you were in those locations as much as it looks like when we're watching it?
Yeah, it's you just you come on set and you're just in awe, especially, you know, being so inspired by Star Wars and watching it, you know, as a little kid, being a gymnast and watching Luke train with Yoda, and you know, thinking in my little head that I can do that. I can do handstands and front tucks. And I was like, I could be a Jedi. So then, you know, walking onto the sets, like I would get teary-eyed sometimes. It's like, come on, get it together. So just on set once when they went into, you know, the hyperspace and all the stars went, like, oh my God. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, that's I can't even imagine what that would be like to you know, just purely as a fan moment. It must have been insane to just be there.
Sometimes just like, is this, you know, I can't believe this is happening to me. I'm so grateful. And then it's like, okay, work really hard, you know, you show up and bring your A game. And you know, I don't know, like I always love what I do. So, you know, but there's moments where I'm just exhausted and physically, and you know, it will just like start pouring out my eyeballs in my mind going, you're fine, just handle it, you got to handle this. But my body's like, I can't, I'm tired. So
I mean, that's the thing that somebody's saying here in the chat. I think JD and as father and son David were saying that's one thing that's been amazing about The Mandalorian as a show is we don't see half the characters or more their faces, their actual the actors, whether it's Pedro or you or whoever, and the emotion and the I mean, when Kuil, you know, died at the end, spoiler alert, of season 1, I was devastated. I mean, this little guy I just became such a fan of. And again, it was your performance and the puppeteer's performance with it and everything that just it made it come to life in such a way that the fact that whenever you care about a character that doesn't look like you and me with a camera on our faces, that means it's working, and that's kudos to the work that you and the team have done.
Thank you. Yeah, we worked really hard. I mean, didn't have a lot of time to be in the suit because they were obviously, putting it together and getting everything ready. But it's just like we would arrive early to set, and I would run to the puppeteering rig and chat with my team first, and then go on set. And my team would come with me. They would just stand as close as they could and watch what's going on, and then run back over after the rehearsal was done, so that obviously we're getting a feel for how it was going to come together. And then I would listen with headphones on of all of Nick Nolte's lines, and I would get to choose first, but then the director that we would be working with, they would also listen, and we would, discuss what sounds good, what's going to work. And so, yeah, when we were on set, it's fun and we love every second, but we were just so disciplined as a unit, and it meant so much to us to be there. That we worked really, really hard, and we stayed really focused. So because we love it so much, and we really wanted to, give the audience that journey with Queel, because it's not, a very long one, and we know what happens. And so every moment on camera just meant everything to us. So.
Yeah. And that comes through. And I think that's one of the things, about Mandalorian as a show. I think, as fans, we see it all the time. And you probably see it in the feedback. People are like, I wish the episodes were longer. I wish they were longer. And yeah, I wish they were, weekly 2-hour movies as well. That's not going to happen. But what I think is amazing about that show is the performances have to be that much stronger, because you only have 40 minutes a week to advance the story. And like you just said, and I hadn't thought of it that way, every moment that you get with Kuiil or Din or Grogu or whoever has to work, right? I've said it a lot about the way Filoni tells stories, is there's never a wasted frame. Like people say that was a filler episode, but every episode, every frame has purpose. And that must also add to trying to bring that to life as an actor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Every second for both characters, it's just like bring all of the love and life experience. And I will say, because, my early life was rather tumultuous, and I was an elite gymnast and headed to the Olympics, but and it was very emotional to watch what happened to Simone at the Olympics, because gymnasts at that level, there's so much pressure, and I've gotten the twisties before, and it is a very scary thing to be, because when you're going for something, a vault or a tumbling pass, like when you have to commit, and to be lost in the air like that, it's really intense. And the pressure got to me before, like the idea of, disappointing my team, my coaches, my parents, my country. It just it didn't end well for me, but, and that always followed me for a long time of, I want to make something of myself someday. So I've taken all of that work and pain and passion from that and put it into this work. And honestly, for Star Wars, for Queel, for Frog Lady, that's really the performances that you're seeing, is the depth of all of that, So
and now that I hear you tell your story, it now comes across in Queel's story, because we don't know, of course, what he's been doing on that planet for all those years, but clearly he went through some stuff, right? He saw some things and had his challenges, and he was still there to provide guidance and faith in other people. And so, I mean, that definitely came through. That's amazing. That's beautiful.
So.
That's great. And then, so you then ended up as Frog Lady. When did you find out that you'd be coming back for season 2? Were they like, Queel's dead, but don't worry, we got more for you? Or how did that work out?
I didn't know. I had no idea. And that was I was so sad, because when I got my scripts for season 1, from reading, obviously, Quill is introduced in the first episode at the end, and I was just like, oh my God, I was hooked, and from the beginning, and I was just in love with the story, and I thought it was so great and so Star Wars. And then when I got to the end of chapter 7, like I was like, turn the page, I was like, no, this is not happening. And it's like, I just got here. I want to stay for a while. But it also, it was a driving force again to be able to honor him in a way that, like, again, every single frame, every single moment, every single second, just being in it, so to give him a nice arc. So, but yeah, I didn't know, I had no idea. I just thought, I was like, okay, that was really cool and I loved it. And maybe there'll be something else for me somewhere, sometime. And then Legacy called and was like, hey, this little character, and we want you to come in for fittings, and that's all we can say. Is like, okay, so
awesome.
Yeah, so that's how that came about. And Jon Favreau is a brilliant writer, and I don't know, I click with his writing, so and I understand it very deeply, and it's just I love it. Like, I loved saying her very emotional, plea to Mando when we were like crashed in the ice caves. So yeah, there was a lot of emotion put into that and the choices that I made. That was like, I was talking about my music career.
Yeah. Now, did you shoot it by speaking the Frog Lady language in English, or no?
English. Yeah. He, gives me the gift of writing me really fun dialogue with Mando, and it was fun. I was so nervous, going into rehearsals and stuff. So like, obviously when we rehearse, I'm not in my full costume, and Pedro's right there, and he's amazing. And I remember in rehearsal, John was just off to my right. I was like, don't stand right there. But I was like, no, stay, come with what you prepared, and feel your way through those words. So yeah.
That's great. So I got to ask, Matthew is also asking from the chat, did Frog Lady have a nickname on set, or was she Frog Lady, or?
My crew, Tamara and Dawn, who was my team, we called her a little bit. So yeah, and then there's this cute little 3-year-old girl on Twitter that's decided that her name is Lily. So, and I said, I like Lily.
I like that. I love it. It's my daughter's name, so it works for me as well. I think it's a great name for her. And so, do you have a preference between playing Quill or Lily, or is it
Frog Lady?
Yeah,
they're gonna kill me if we keep doing that.
Frog Lady. We'll edit that out. Don't worry about it.
No, I love them both.
Yeah,
I love them for different reasons because they're so different from each other. Quill, obviously, that was a gift that I was given, I felt, after just like working really, really, really hard for a really long time. Yeah. So that's why that was so special. And then Frog Lady, I don't know, I just love her because she's super sweet, but she's also tough, and she gets to, pull out her little gun and shoot ice spiders and save Grogu. So it's like, this is awesome. So
what was it like working with the Grogu puppet on set? Was it looks like magic when you watch the gallery episodes, but
yeah, I love him. Yeah. I always laugh and remember and they tell people because like I would always just be drawn to him. And I remember Deb saying like it was like, especially the scene where he's just sitting right behind me and I'm building him a new pram. And she's like, Mist, don't touch the baby. Remember, you're a grumpy old man. It's like, I know. I promise I will pay him no attention when we're shooting, I swear. But because I'm friends, obviously those are my coworkers and right. I'm super close to the Legacy team. So anytime I come around, I have a chat with him and, that team like animates him and like, makes them all cute, and it's just die.
So
I'm obsessed.
and now you, as we said before, you were a Star Wars fan. So did you know about the story? What was your reaction when you found out there was going to be a Baby Yoda character in the show, and that you were going to be, instrumental in the journey?
Well, I've met him. I saw him at Legacy Effects. Like my friend Connie.
By the way, I have to interrupt. I love the fact that you said when I met him. Like that's amazing. That's a testament to the character. Oh my goodness! All right, I'm sorry. So I'll let you.
I came around the corner and she was, doing the hair punch for his little fuzz on his head, and I was just like, oh. And I was like, is that Baby Yoda? And like, can't say anything, that is like, and then obviously from my scripts, I was like, oh my God, that's the child. So I was dying, and I was so excited for all of my scenes, where I get to, pick him up and obviously hold him and, and try to get back to the Razor Crest with him. Like, I was very proud of those moments.
Yes.
So, yeah.
They were again. I mean, that is again a great example of, we're not seeing human faces, but we care so much about every single step that you guys took. Did you expect any of the controversy about the Frog Lady's eggs and Grogu eating them?
No, because people didn't freak out when he ate a whole frog in front of people and Mando. But I mean, for me, just knowing people and really connecting with people deeply in the yoga room, because I teach Bikram yoga, and it's intense, and people go through stuff in there, and they start to shed, emotional stuff. Like, I was very aware and not surprised, because we were how many months into the pandemic at that time, and people were going through stuff. So I think that people's triggers were very heightened, so I don't like to, joke about or anything.
Sure.
And I respect, people's feelings and stuff on the matter, but really, I didn't take it that way. And, obviously Peyton and Dave and John and everybody on set, because, really he's a baby. He's growing baby. So he's hungry all the time. Mando's never had a family, never had any loved ones, never had parents. So he doesn't know, he's learning how to take care of him. And, here these characters are in this extraordinary circumstance, and it obviously becomes very much about survival. But I feel like there was a little arc with that, and that's, when they put in that lovely little scene at the end of chapter 10, where we're all together, and, it gives people an opportunity to see too that, Frog Lady, there's lessons to be learned, and to be compassionate and empathetic with people when they make mistakes, or because you're going to, as you move through this life and through your lessons and stuff. And it's just like about love and compassion and caring for those that are innocent, that cannot, necessarily take care of themselves on their own yet. And just, it was so cute. I was hoping that they were going to keep it in. There was one take where we're at the bowl, and Grogu's right there, and he's just loving it, and it's that aha moment for him. Like, he felt bad, and he understood, the lesson. And like, when Mando, picked him up, like, his little hands got caught, and he was just like, it was like he was, holding on, like, no, I don't want to go yet. It was so cute, but they didn't use that take. I was kind of hoping they would, but so.
But I think you bring up a great point, and I think that I wish more people would respond the way you just did, right? Whether it's that concept of, and I'm with you. Like, I didn't see it that way. I saw it was being played for comedic effect, and it was, it's like you said, it's a baby who's just getting into trouble. I mean, I have a puppy, and he's getting into trouble. Yeah. It's the same thing. But I think we could all benefit from being a little bit more aware of, to your point, pandemic has amplified any of the trigger points that we have, anything that's emotionally exposed, right? And that triggered a couple people, and people just need to be a little bit more. I wish people would be a little more understanding and just be like, okay, you saw it that way, I didn't, but I support you. So
I'm hoping that we can all circle back around and just be a little more, again, kind of empathetic and compassionate and gentle with each other, and not so quick to fire back when something doesn't align with a belief system. So
I like that. That's great. So is there anything that happened on set that might surprise people? Do you have any fun favorite stories from the set?
Yeah, with Quill, people, the backpack that I wore, that's where, all of the animatronics and the board and the motors and servos, everything was in. So it was super, 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 heavy. So I always had to stay slightly forward and use my core, hardcore. And I just remember in one of the scenes that we were shooting, and they had me sitting on this little narrow stool, and I kind of shifted back in the middle of the scene once, and I went back, and then it's I just didn't even try, because it's bye. And one moment, I'm in frame here, and the next moment it's feet. And everybody they just needed a moment because they couldn't stop laughing. And then with Frog Lady, it was really kind of a cool way to finish out. My very last day of shooting was and I didn't know it would be as funny and as comedic as it was, but we just went for it. And it was, the Razor Crest, the chase scene with the X-Wings. And she's freaking out. And, the last take we did, Peyton's okay, miss, just, this is the last one. Just give it all you got. And I could hear him in my earpiece, and he's I'm going to, call out and left and right for timing for both you and Mando. So you guys are together in that. And through all of it, I could hear him laughing. I could hear it was Barry in the cockpit with me laughing, and I could hear people, at Video Village laughing, and our crew around. It's well, I hope it's cool, and I hope that they, people enjoy this. And I broke. I finally just started laughing, which is never a good thing in a suit because you're oxygen deprived. But I just couldn't help myself. We were just having so much fun, and I'm glad that kind of was a fun moment for people, and the memes are hilarious. So,
that's awesome. Is there? Those characters. Do you as a fan, or maybe not even as a fan, do you go online? Do you sort of watch how people are discussing the characters you're bringing to life?
No, not really. I have the interaction on my social media with fans, which is always it's always been very sweet. That is a rule for me. The way I conduct myself always is to just, inspire, encourage, and, really care about people. Just always keep it about positive energy. And so that's what, it creates a ripple effect, and that's what I get back. A friend of mine did send me, it's a compilation of all the podcasters, the Star Wars podcasters, and their reactions to chapter 7 with Quill, and it actually made me cry because it's just literally one after the other. No, no. And I just remember these cute girls that do a podcast. They're dressed up in their Chewbacca costumes, and they're super upset, and they're just I can't believe he died saving Baby Yoda, and so I hate Star Wars, and they're crying. Oh. It was just it was very sweet. So it was really special to see that, and to take in how much these characters mean to people, because they really, really do mean the world to me. Like I give it 1,000% every day on set. So.
Yeah. My son, I remember, was watching the episode. He's turning 9 next week, and he but at the time I guess he was 7, and he was watching it, and he was like, he's gonna get up, right, Daddy? I was like, oh my god, to breaking my heart. I had tough time with it. Now I'm gonna have it with him. So it was I mean, that's great. And it's you clearly, I'm so happy that we've had this conversation, because now I know where it comes from, and it's great. I guess the biggest compliment I can give you is that it comes through, and those characters now, the emotion that you brought, the history you brought by putting Misty into them, versus just sort of like having, I think as fans, sometimes we just make an assumption that, Dave Filoni's on set saying, okay, so here's what Kuiil's story is, go, right? But the reality is you're bringing all of you into that, and it really shows. And we're, as fans, really lucky to have had you in the series. And so thank you for all that you did.
Thank you so much. So yeah, it's meant the world to me. So
amazing.
Be here now. So,
so I'll ask. I'm sure you can't answer either way, but have you gotten any calls for any of the other Star Wars shows? Will you be in there anywhere?
I'll just say it's my biggest wish. So it was my birthday wish. So.
Good. Well, hopefully that wish comes true. Are there any other franchises that you're a big fan of that you'd love to be a part of?
Star Wars is the big one.
I mean, what else is there, right?
Like the ultimate. What I'm doing now is like actually this month, in a couple of weeks, I'm acting in an indie film. As a character that's not in a costume, so. It's gonna test my courage. I've been working on the script and extremely excited to be a part of it. Obviously there's nerves, and one of my favorite directors that I work with, Hugh Martin, I've been chatting with him, and I was like, no, I'm not supposed to say it, but I will say I'm nervous. And then his, comeback was brilliant. He's like, well, if you weren't nervous, you'd be dead, hun. So that's so true. So, just kind of embrace it, and, give this character as well 1,000%. So, yeah. So
that's awesome. Well, you're quite an inspiration, and it shows in all of your work. And thank you so much for spending some time with us. Where can people keep up with you on social media or wherever?
I think the place that I, tend to be most active is on Instagram. But I do try to, keep up with everybody on, Twitter and Facebook. All of my music stuff is on YouTube, all of my songs, as well as music videos and lyric videos. So yeah, I'm around and about.
Well, it's amazing. And if I encourage everybody to go and, first of all, check the link in the notes below, but you have to go and check out Misty's music, because it will blow you away. It's so good.
Thank you.
Well, Misty, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate the time you've given us, and for the patrons who want to join us, and for the meet, please click on your link now and join us in there. And before I let you go, Misty, could I get this is Misty Rosas, and you're listening to Around the Galaxy.
This is Misty Rosas, and I have had the best time ever on Around the Galaxy. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you. This has been awesome. I'm going to hit end broadcast here. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us. If you want to join us, click the link, and we'll see you soon. All right. I'm going to hit end there. I